Here's a piece of the Mexican wedding cake that Glow just made in Glow's Kindred Kitchen. For the recipe and instructions on how to make it, check out the video. It's delicious.
Hi, welcome to Glow's Kindred Kitchen, and I'm Glow. Today we are going to be making a cake from scratch, and it's called Mexican wedding cake. And I was introduced to this by a friend of mine years ago when I lived in Michigan. That was over 40 years ago. And it is delicious. And some people refer to it as a pineapple dump cake, but I have always called it the Mexican wedding cake. So let's get started. To begin with, I went ahead and put in 2 cups of granulated sugar. This recipe, by the way, is very easy because it's almost everything is 2. So there's also 2 teaspoons of baking soda. And I keep my baking soda in a small jelly type jar after I open my box, just to keep it better. And then also 2 cups of all-purpose flour. And I'm going to go ahead and do that. And when you use dry ingredients, you use a measuring cup like this. There is a difference between liquid and dry when you're measuring. And what I do is I always tap the side, and in case there's any air pockets in there, they'll be gone. Then I take a knife to scrape off to make sure it's exact. There. So that's 1, and we just need 1 more. And I keep my flour and stuff in an airtight container just in case there's bugs or anything that get into your flours. They seem to like it. There we go. Whoop. So that's 2 cups. So we have 2 cups of sugar, 2 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of baking soda. And then we're also going to be adding 2 eggs. And I just usually use a scraper to make sure I get all the whites out as well. And then we're going to be adding 1 large can of crushed pineapple. It's a 20-ounce can. Some people refer to this when you read old recipes that it is a number 2 can, but this is 20 ounces. Juice and all goes in. And it really does need to be crushed pineapple, so if you have like the pineapple chunks or something, you can just put it in your blender or your food processor for just a little bit to make it crushed. Then we're also going to be adding 1 teaspoon of real vanilla. Don't use imitation. Please get the real because it makes a big difference in any type of baking you do. Oh, real vanilla smells so good. So there we go. Get rid of this. Put my lid on this so it's out of the way. And then the last thing is 3/4 cup of chopped nuts. You can use walnuts or pecans, and I had pecans on hand, so I decided to do that today. But I have used walnuts before, and both are very good. So now all you do is use a wooden spoon to mix this up. Why, I don't know, but this is the way my friend taught me to do it. She said a wooden spoon makes a big difference. It takes a couple minutes to get this blended real well. The main thing is you just want to make sure that you get everything incorporated really well and that everything is moist. But see how easy that is? And what prompted me to do this recipe today was one of my great nieces called me and she asked if I would make a cake on YouTube. And I said, well, of course I will. So I thought this would be an easy one for her to be able to make. And I can see just a little pieces of flour that are still needed to be incorporated here, so that's why I'm still stirring. There, that looks good. So I went ahead and I greased my 9x13 pan. I usually use a glass pan. And I'm just going to scrape my spoon off. The nice thing about these bowls is they do have a spout on them. And a really good friend of mine had given me a set of these and a set for herself as well. And I'll tell you, I use them a lot. And prior to us starting this, I went ahead and I have been preheating my oven at 350 degrees. And this is going to be cooking for about 35 minutes. I just saw some flour that needed to be incorporated a little bit. And there we go. See how easy that is? So I'll be back with you in about 35 minutes with the cake being done, but in the meantime, we're going to be making a frosting and I'll show you how to do that as well. Bye. Hi, so now we're ready to start in on our frosting for our Mexican wedding cake that's in the oven. So I went ahead and I got things kind of prepared here so we can put it together. And one of the things that it calls for is a quarter of a stick or a half of a stick of butter, which is a quarter of a cup. I'm going to go ahead and put that in my little bowl here, and I use this for frosting. And then it calls for 8 ounces of cream cheese. So one of these here is 8 ounces. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in. What I'm doing is just scraping off the inside so we don't waste very much. There. Put that in my garbage basket. And then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to measure out 1 3/4 cup of powdered sugar. And this is the container that I keep my powdered sugar in. So I'm going to go ahead and spoon it in. I'm going to take a knife and tap it along the sides just like I do with the flour to make sure that I don't have any air pockets or anything. Just a little bit more. Let's see if that's enough. Yep. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in. And then it also calls for an additional 3/4 cup. On this particular measuring cup, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but there's like a line that goes along there. You can actually see it pretty good because the powdered sugar didn't attach to that, but that's 3/4 cup line. So I'm going to go ahead and fill up. That way I only have to use 1 cup too for measuring. Let me just tap. And I won't be able to use my knife in there to get it exact, but I'm going to show you here in a minute. I don't know if you can tell, but it's right at that line there. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in. Actually, I'm going to hold it out because when I start to incorporate here, this is going to be kind of messy. So I'm going to go ahead and start in on this. And you just, I have a KitchenAid, whoa! I have a KitchenAid mixer too, but I really didn't need to use that with this, because it has a big bowl, so we're going to try it with this. There we go. I probably should have mixed up the butter and the cream cheese a little bit before I put that powdered sugar in, but it worked. A little noisy. Okay, we're going to go ahead and put some more of this in. It's probably going to make a little bit of a mess again. Not as bad.
Go slow, Miss Glow. Good thing you had your apron on, you got right in the stomach then.
Oh, I sure did. Okay, and now we're going to add to this 1 teaspoon of the vanilla. There. Now I'm going to just see about my consistency. I'm going to taste it. It's a nice thing about being a cook. You can taste as you're going along and see how good it is and if you need to add any extra things. That's good. I think I'm going to add just a little bit more sugar to it though. Reason being just to have it a little bit thicker. Not much though. I'm adding about 2 tablespoons. extra air into this, so it'll be kind of fluffy when we put it on. Here. So our cake has 6 more minutes in the oven, so I'm going to go ahead and clean this mess up that I just made here, and I'll be back with you, and I'll show you what to do with the frosting on the cake afterwards. See you in just a little bit. Bye. Hi, welcome back. Well, my cake is out of the oven, and when you bring it out of the oven, it will be a little darker than some of the other types of cakes that you make that are yellow or white. Not much darker, but don't be alarmed. And when I touch it, it's very firm, and it springs back, so it's good to go. Now what I do is I poke holes, just random around on it. And what this does is it helps the frosting to go down into the cake. And just do it randomly. I'm just using a toothpick for this. There's really no rhyme or reason to it. And also try and get along the edges good with it. There we go. So now we're going to go ahead and put this icing that we made on this cake, and it'll kind of melt and go into it. Trying to hold the bowl so you guys can see what I'm doing as well. There. I'm going to just use this spreader that I have to help spread it out. And you can kind of see already how it's starting to melt into the cake itself. This is going to be so yummy.
Looks good.
I have to take my little niece a piece and my nephew. More than a piece, actually.
Make sure she watches the video too.
Oh, she will. So there we go. I'm just going to scrape off my scrapers here and get as much of this yummy frosting down into the cake. No need wasting. Now all we have to do is sprinkle the pecans over the top. And I just chopped up these pecans. And I keep my nuts in the freezer. They last a lot longer that way.
They do stay fresh.
And that way you always have nuts on hand. Okay, there we go. So I hope you enjoyed today in this Mexican wedding cake that we made. And I hope that you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you again in a while. Bye. Thank you for watching our video today. And if you liked this video today, I would really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe to our channel. Bye.